It unlocks your phone, it tags you in photos, it gets you through the airport. I mean, we use facial recognition pretty much every single day. But have you ever actually stopped to wonder how it works? Like, how does a computer learn to recognize your face out of billions? Well, let's dive in and break down the science behind your digital self.
You know that feeling? It's almost like magic. You just glance at your phone and poof, it unlocks. But it's not magic, of course. It's an incredibly sophisticated process of measuring and matching. So, how on earth does your phone turn your face into a key that only you can use? That is exactly what we're about to find out.
So, at its heart, facial recognition is a type of biometrics. Think of it just like a fingerprint. The system looks at the unique geometry of your face, the distance between your eyes, the shape of your chin, and something called its photometric properties, which is really just a fancy way of talking about your skin texture. It's basically teaching a computer to see and understand a face, using the one language it knows, math.
So, why is this tech absolutely everywhere now? Well, for one, unlike asking for a fingerprint, it's completely non-intrusive. You don't have to touch a thing. It's also passive, which means it can work without you even noticing. But the real game changer, it's just natural. It copies the exact same way we humans recognize each other, and that makes it unbelievably powerful and easy to use. Okay, so here's our game plan for today. We're going to follow a face on its entire digital journey. First up, how a system even finds and preps a face. Then, the really crucial part, creating a unique face print. After that, we'll see how it actually makes a match. And finally, we'll look at how all this holds up out in the real world.
All right, let's start right at the beginning. Before any system can recognize a face, it has to do something that's actually surprisingly hard. It has to find one in the first place. This first step is all about just locating a face in a picture or a video and getting it ready for its close-up. I want you to think of this whole process like a digital assembly line for your face. It starts with detection and pre-processing. That's what we're talking about now. Then it moves on to feature extraction. And finally, matching. Each step builds on the last one to get to that one final decision. Is it you or isn't it? So job number one is detection. The algorithm scans an entire image, looking for patterns that just scream human face. When it finds one, it draws a little box around it. Now, the older methods for this were clever, for sure. But the modern deep learning approaches, they are on a whole other level, finding faces in the most ridiculously crowded photos with pinpoint accuracy. Okay, once the face is found, it needs to be prepped. You can think of this as the cleanup phase. The image is automatically rotated so the eyes are perfectly level, it's corrected for terrible lighting, and get this, if you're looking off to the side, some systems can even generate a new frontal view of you. The whole goal is to make every single face as standardized as possible so the comparison is fair. And now we get to the most important part of the entire process. This is where the real magic happens. The system takes that cleaned up face image and turns it into a totally unique digital signature, basically a fingerprint for your face. Here's the key idea you need to grasp. A picture of a face is just way too much information for a computer to compare efficiently. So the goal is to boil that picture down to only its most essential, most unique features and turn them into a simple string of numbers. Think of it like a unique ID code that belongs only to your face. It's often called a feature vector or an embedding. And this slide perfectly shows the two major ways of creating that face print. Back in the classical era, humans had to literally tell the computer exactly what to measure. Things like measure the distance between the eyes. But in the modern deep learning era, we just show an AI millions and millions of faces and it figures out all on its own what the most important and unique features are. It's a huge difference. So one of the most famous classical methods is called eigenfaces. It's pretty cool. Imagine you have a bunch of standard kind of ghostly-looking template faces. Your unique face print is simply the recipe, the precise mix of how much of each of those ghostly templates is needed to construct your face. It's like a facial cocktail, and that recipe is unique to you. But today, it is all about deep learning. A super powerful type of AI called a convolutional neural network gets trained on literally millions of faces. It becomes a super recognizer, and it creates this incredibly detailed numerical code, often a string of 512 numbers, that is uniquely yours. This wasn't just an informant, it was a total revolution in how facial recognition works. Okay, so the system has found a face, it's prepped it, and it has created a unique face print. Now we're at the moment of truth, making the match. Is it really you? Now, it's really important to know there are two different kinds of matching. On the left, you have verification. That's one-to-one. When you unlock your phone, it's asking, is this person really Sarah? Then on the right, you have identification. That's one-to-many. It's asking a different question. Who is this person? And then it compares their face against an entire database to find out. So how does the match actually happen? Well, the system calculates a similarity score between the new face print and the one it has on file. In the deep learning world, this is often done with a fancy bit of math called cosine similarity. But honestly, all you really need to know is this. If that score is high enough, if it crosses a certain threshold, the system says match. It's as simple as that.
All right, so we've got the whole pipeline down. Let's zoom out a bit. How does all this theory actually hold up in the messy, unpredictable real world? Let's take a look at the challenges and some of the amazing applications.
I mean, let's be real. This technology is not perfect. Bad lighting can totally throw it off. A profile shot of someone is way harder to match than a picture from the front. And then you have things like glasses, face masks, or even just hair covering up key features. Oh, and let's not forget aging. Our faces change. All these real-world curveballs make the system's job a whole lot harder.
But even with those hurdles, this technology is, well, it's everywhere. It's the engine behind Face Unlock on your phone. It's used by law enforcement to identify suspects and by border control to check your passport. And yeah, it's how your social media app knows to suggest tagging you in your friends' vacation photos.
Now, I want you to just look at this number for a second. 30,000. What on earth could 30,000 have to do with your face?
This is just incredible. To get around those challenges like bad lighting or someone trying to fool the system with a photograph, Apple's Face ID does something genius. It doesn't just take a flat 2D picture. It actually projects 30,000 invisible infrared dots onto your face to build a super precise 3D map. This is a form of 3D recognition, and it is a massive leap forward in security and accuracy. So there you have it. From a simple picture to a unique mathematical key, we've seen how a system learns to recognize a face. But as this technology gets more accurate and more powerful every single day, it raises some pretty big questions. Questions about our privacy, about security, about what identity even means. So maybe the real question isn't just what comes next, but where do we, as a society, decide to draw the line?